I talk to revenue leaders sometimes that say, I don't own the plan. And I tell them, you're about to get fired. You better figure out a way to own a plan. And sure, your CFO and your board are dictating some top line growth goals. No doubt. I get that. We've all lived through that dynamic, and that is what it is. But if you don't have a way of clearly explaining from the bottoms up how you get to what they're asking for and what you need from the business, what you need from an investment standpoint, the assumptions that you're making, what you need from marketing, what you need from product, you're not going to be there long. So while you may be given a plan, you better have your own plan. And if not, you better dust up your resume because you won't be there long. I mean, that's just the bottom line. No doubt about that. I've seen it happen over and over. There's nothing that gets me fired up more than a revenue leader telling me I don't own the plan.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think is missing in the education process. I also see this notion in the conversations with the revenue operations leaders. They are often brought on board just to justify what the sales leader wants to do instead of really keep them in check, right? And it's not about I'm superior to you versus someone else, right? That's not that game. It's not an ego game. It's really about setting the right level of expectations and be realistic about what's going to happen. Because to your point, if that there's a big gap, you have to be very, very creative to prolong your stay in this company. And you will need to have some good data or good assumptions, validated assumptions, so that you can bet on that. There's always a risk, right? You do something, you don't do something, there is a risk, right? That's how it works. But if you have an input, I think you can be pretty creative and have a higher confidence that that's going to work that way.
Yeah,
I think that's what you're solving for as well. I'm assuming.
100%. Look, I mean, my former CEO, I think he said this best. Every quarter, you're going to be doing things that you never did before. So you have to get comfortable with that. That doesn't mean, though, that you don't plan and that you don't clearly articulate what that truly means for the business. And, as a sales leader, a big part of your job is making sure you have the requisite investment from the other parts of the business to hit your goal. It's not just about how many salespeople can I hire, right? It's about like, okay, so what does our customer success function look like to grow our customer base? What does our marketing function look like for new logo versus customer expansion? What do our product plans look like to continually give me more opportunity to up and cross sell? And to really argue for that, you've got to have data. You can't just go complain about these things, right? You have to show the plan. This is how we're getting there, and these are the assumptions I'm making. And that's where we work with revenue leaders most often.
There's this I would call it triangle of alignment, right? You have a finance, you have a sales, and you have a people that will help to execute, which is operations. And I think that is always a broken communication. I think there's always a tension between these teams because they see what the others don't want to see or they don't want to talk about. So I think having something in place where you can bring all of them together and you can align around these assumptions, I think it's gold because it's saving a lot of energy, right? If I don't agree with the plan, to your point, I can just put my papers on the table and say goodbye, thank you. This is unrealistic. I can't do it just right away, right? Of course, a lot of people will just drag on until they find another job, but I still think it's just a fair game, right? At this point, right? It's just really you know what you're signing up for, right?
Yeah, and it holds other teams accountable too. I think, part of that plan is we're going to release a new product at this date, and therefore we can take on this amount of quota, and that product doesn't get delivered. Well, the head of sales can go back and say, well, that was baked into this assumption. Now we need to probably revisit quotas to be fair to the sales team and what we're trying to accomplish here. Like, there's just ways of, or if marketing doesn't deliver on inbound leads or what, or the events that they were supposed to, it creates a healthy tension to hold everyone accountable.